still got market. If not market.
Hey guys, you're on the Got Mortgages podcast here with your boy Santi Rodriguez, aka Funds and Flips, and we got a special guest here today, Jerel Stewart, NextHome's Realty. Jerel, tell a little bit about yourself and what you're up to in the world.
Yes. So I'm at NextHome. Been there for maybe 2-3 years. I was at another smaller boutique company, which I really like, but just figure I move around just to network and you know start some new relationships. So I like it there.
That's great. Talk about your business and like what do you currently do? Are you working with buyers, sellers, investors? Like,
so
what's your business model?
About 80% of my business is investors.
Wow.
People just buying to fix and flip, buy and hold. They do some commercial stuff. So I like that model. It's
man in my heart, funds and flips. That's what I do.
Right up your alley.
Yes.
Just because that demographic, it's all about the numbers.
Yes.
It's not as emotional. And ultimately, I want to be an investor as well. So I'm learning as I work.
Wait a minute. We didn't get you to your first investment.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Okay, so you haven't done a fix and flip yet.
Not yet. No.
No rentals yet.
No rentals yet.
Bro.
Not yet.
Yeah. You're still young though. So we're gonna get you right.
Well, I'm there now. So I'm kind of transitioning. See, the thing is once I start investing, it's gonna be bad for my clients.
That means you're gonna take all the property.
Right. I'm gonna take all the deals now. Because that's basically what I do. I source the deals for them for the most part. I analyze them, kind of help them with funding, which is why I'm glad we have a relationship as well. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Good. And with the new relationships and what you're doing, like what does 2026 look like for you?
So 2026 right now, like I said, I'm looking to get my first investment as well. Just scale up, building new relationships, and just build my infrastructure so I can start investing. Getting contractors. I've been learning how to do new construction, things like that. So just kind of gearing up to start my investment.
So that first deal that you want to do you want it to be a fix and flip, or do you want it to be a rental for income?
I'm more of a cash flow type investor. I like cash flow, so I'm kind of looking to buy and hold.
I love it. You know what type of investor you already are. I'm gonna be the one that holds a lot of doors. That's what I hear.
Exactly. And I noticed that. Just watching a lot of my clients, most of them are fix and flip guys. Some buy and hold, but when you're doing fix and flip, it's always about the next deal. You got to keep
it going,
churning and burning. So I'm more about trying to just build the wealth, build the cash flow, so I can slowly transition and do some other things for sure. So.
Awesome. So one of the things I like to ask when you're in that hot seat is, tell me something crazy. Like how long have you been in the business? And since that time, like give me one example. It could be something that happened last week, last month.
That's a good question. I've been in the business about little over 10 years now.
Congratulations.
We see a lot of ups and downs in the business. Something crazy. I see a lot of different stuff. I deal with a lot of bankrupt clients, people going through bankruptcy, people going through foreclosure. I would say one of the weirdest cases we had, we had somebody who actually was foreclosed on, lost their home. We were able to come in, redeem their property back, resell it, So she was foreclosed. She was still living in the house. Going crazy. They were trying to evict her out. So we looked at the case. We were able to bring in our attorney, redeem the property, liquidate it, pay off her investor, and kind of put some money in her pocket and get her moving on.
I got to stop you there for a second, right? Because, we forget sometimes the people that are listening don't know what we know, right? So talk about the redemption. Talk about what that is.
A lot of people don't know about redemption. So if you do get foreclosed, you do have a redemption period. Just meaning there's a time period where you can redeem the property back or get the property back. There is a time frame. I want to say maybe it's 12 months or so. Kind of just depends. But yes, she was within that redemption period. We did our due diligence and we saw that there was some ways that she can get the property back just as long as she paid her investor and paid those fees and things like that. She had a lot of equity, and that's the thing. When you get foreclosed, you lose your equity. But so luckily, she was able to do that. But I will say we had one case a little more weird than that. So we had a homeless guy,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason I call him homeless because he owned a property,
Right.
but he hadn't had utilities in 3 or 4 years.
Oh my
No
God. How is
gas,
he
no
living?
water. Exactly. So the guy actually had a home,
Right.
but he's living in a shelter. He's going to the shelter 3, 4 days a week to shower, eat, socialize,
live.
things like that. Very, very nice guy,
Right,
but he was just kind of in a depression, kind of out of his mind
Right.
a little bit. Didn't want to get back in the workforce for whatever reason. He had a tech background, but he found it hard to kind of keep up with today's tech, you know, so he couldn't. He didn't want to go entry levels. I don't know. He was kind of off, but yeah. So he also had a ton of equity, you know. So came in, we kind of lifted his spirit a little bit.
Okay.
You know, helped him take the next step forward. Again, we were able to liquidate his property, put $150,000 into his pocket.
Wow.
Not only that, get him into a newer home,
Yeah.
into a rental, and just kind of get to that next phase in his life.
That is, you know, you have a very great gift and a talent. I mean, that is definitely a niche that I haven't had. Like 20 years, I don't have people specializing in that type of investment for people. So, and at the end of the day, you're saving people's house, right? You're helping them cash out, put money in their pocket, and then you have an investor who he's able to make money.
Right.
So you're doing all three, like
So
all
win,
at once.
win for sure, and which is why I love this lane because you know a lot of people try to demonize investors. They think you're trying to take advantage of people's mishaps, but the thing is the investor doesn't cause the mishap. You know, they just come in, they see opportunity, and again, it's always about being able to help the homeowner.
Right.
You know, because a lot of people who go through foreclosure, go through tax foreclosure, HOA foreclosure, things like that, they don't really know what their options are. You know, they stick their heads in the sand and they just think things are going to go away. You know?
I always say to the people, you don't know what you don't know. And this is where you want to rely on the professionals, but a professional who actually does the job, who actually knows what's going on. And this is going to be great because, you know, this is a whole nother avenue you opened up for me to refer business to you, to find clients that are in those situations. And I can say, hey, listen, I have somebody who's not only does this, but has helped other people because those case studies, the people that we've helped, it's huge out there.
Right. And we care. And that's really what it comes down to. And that's kind of my value proposition.
Okay.
Is that I care more than most people.
Gotcha.
You know, it's not just about the transaction. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure your phone is ringing with you helping referrals coming through the door left and right because everybody has their own situation. Everybody's situation is unique.
Right.
So we were talking a little bit about 2026, and you said your goal is for get your first investment, which would be a rental. What's your business model look like for 2026, and where do you see this market?
Market is a little weird right now. It's a little stagnant from what I'm seeing. It's hard to find good quality deals that pencil out. You know, a lot of uncertainty with things going on in the market. Obviously, we know we're at war and things like that. You know, sellers still want these high prices. You got interest rates still kind of high as people would perceive it to be. So it's just a little stagnation. Buyers are a little uncertain. They're kind of standing on the sidelines. Sellers, you know, they want to sell, but they're not as motivated as they need to be to kind of adjust the prices. You know what I mean? So kind of a weird space, but now you just got to really get back to the drawing board, crunch your numbers a little tighter, and just put in more work, as I would say.
And with the people you work with right now, would you say it's a lot of first-time investors, or it's investors that are like they've been investing, more savvy investors?
Yeah, I'm dealing with definitely more savvy investors, guys who've taken down big multi-million-dollar deals. Like right now, they've transitioned to RV parks and mobile home parks, things like that. Because again, you know, the single family market is just getting a little, I won't say saturated, but sellers aren't negotiating to where we would like to see. You know,
and when you think about it, right, with the single family homes, it's really tough to get a cash flow out of a single family home nowadays. With you know, median home prices $400,000 to $600,000 for your average home. You know, this isn't, you know, 15, 20 years ago when you could get a house for $150,000, $250,000. And now with kind of cash flow, and that's where the multifamilies come into place. again, that's a different look than a lot of agents are talking about when you're talking about RV parks, right? When you're talking about mobile homes, that's a whole different business strategy that you're dealing with there. And it's really good to hear there's someone that can handle that, who's looking to deal with it. Is there first time investors you work with as well?
Yes, so, we take them all, and that's kind of where I'm leading to, is trying to encourage new investors to come into the market. And I plan on shooting. You asked what the plan was for 2026. Is me, doing things like this, shooting more content to just educate new investors on funding. Because a lot of people don't understand the different products there are out there, how they work, and things like that, and what it takes to actually get into the business. And it's in some degree, it's very low hanging fruit. So.
Right, absolutely, and we'll definitely put something together and collaborate on getting some education out there to first-time investors and even the savvy investors, to let them know, what you're up to in the world and what you have access to. You know what I mean? So, are you in the off-market world as well, or is everything on market? Okay,
definitely. So I'm making my calls, and I'm reaching out to folks in direct mail. All the above, all the old school strategies. I got cold callers, things like that. So yes, definitely looking for off market, because those are where you're gonna find your best deals. But I got wholesalers, semi leads, things like that. So like I said, it's all about networking and just pulling in from wherever we can pull in right now.
Listen, I love it, and what screams for me right now is your energy, right? Your energy. I don't even have to ask you, do you love it? The passion you have for real estate, it's written all over your face. Awesome. You know what I mean? So that's a great thing that you have going for you. So for people to get in contact with you, what's the best way for someone to reach out? And they're in a situation, either they're a new investor, they're a savvy investor, or they need to reach out to you because they're in a tough situation.
Right.
How would they reach out to you?
Well, I like to say I'm a realtor that answers my phone.
Okay.
So just hit my phone directly. Text message is the best way. I'm at 732-433-9690. I'm on social media here and there, not so much. Like I said, I got to get
that's something we'll work on. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Listen, it's the new day and era. We have to show everybody what's out there, but you have a lot to offer, right? And a lot to give and teach. Where like I said, I've been doing this 20 years, and I've never had somebody across, whether it's the table from me or on the phone call, saying, "Hey, I specialize in reinstatements, helping people put money in their pocket after they've already lost their home." Right. A lot of people, once they go to foreclosure, they think that's it. They're trying to stay in there till the sheriff locks them out, and there's a glimpse of hope there. That's a beautiful and amazing thing you put together. So love what you're doing out in the world, man. I'm glad we were able to connect today and put this thing together. Before I let you go, anything that you want to bring up or that's on your mind that you want to touch on?
Not really. I would just say I appreciate it. Like I said, I definitely look forward to having a long, profitable relationship with you, and just again being able to plug people into you.
Okay.
I know you're very high level at what you do, and just being able to help a lot of people. Again, get in the business is a very great business to be in. Depending.
And when you say great business, being an agent or being an investor?
Both. Just
Okay.
real estate in general. It's so many verticals in this business, so
and you hit on a lot today, which is a lot different, like I said, from other people, where you talked about RV parks, you talked about huge units, buying 20, 50, 60 units. There's always a point where you have to start, but these are goals that people could get to. And one of the things that we'll definitely talk about after this show is, hey, how do we get you on your first deal, and what's that deal look like? Financing wise and putting it together, because it's a lot easier than what people think.
Right.
And I'm always looking to help people do the same thing, become an investor, teach and educate everybody in the process of real estate and real estate finance, man.
Right. Sounds good. I look forward to it.
Yeah, it was great to have you on the show, and I can't wait to do our next thing together.